look at all this, we're joined now by royal expert Rafal Heydel-Mankoo.
Earlier today to royal commentator Rafal Heydel-Mankoo from London.
Going to bring in Rafal Heydel-Mankoo, the editor.
Joining me with more is Rafal Heydel-Mankoo.
All right, Rafal, some tremendous final words, and we appreciate your help this morning.
Heydel-Mankoo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Studiu Rafał Heydel-Mankoo, royal historian and commentator, czyli historyk rodziny królewskiej i komentator wydarzeń w Pałacu Buckingham.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Dzień dobry.
And on Skype we have Jenny Bond.
Joining me here in studio now is Rafal Heydel-Mankoo from the Monarchist League of Canada. Welcome, Rafal.
Good morning.
Let's take a look at a live shot because although the funeral begins within 60 minutes now, the dignitaries have started to arrive.
That's right. We've seen a steady stream of dignitaries arriving.
And he is the patron of the British.
Now I'm joined here by Rafal Heydel-Mankoo, who knows the relationship, I think, between the royal family and Canada particularly quite well.
Why wouldn't the Queen be given an official invitation to attend ceremonies? Isn't this a matter of tradition? Has she not gone to all the ones, all the previous ones since she's been Queen?
Well, I think what we have here is a comparatively rare example of the otherwise finely tuned French diplomatic machine getting itself quite mangled.
So, Rafal, what is the official comment, response, reaction from the royal family to this new addition?
Well, they're all delighted. I mean, really, for any royal watcher and for the royal family, this has been an extremely eventful few weeks, from the highs of the two royal engagements to the low of the attack on the Prince of Wales car. And now again we have happy news to end the year with the announcement of the birth of a baby girl, 8 pounds 8 ounces, extremely healthy. And as you said, this is the Queen's first great-grandchild, and the Queen is the first sovereign since Queen Victoria's time to have been a great-grandparent, although Victoria had 16 great-grandchildren, so quite a way to go before the Queen married.
Do the papers have a right to publish this kind of material? Certainly there is an appetite for it out there with the public.
Well, appetites or not, I think the rule of law should stand paramount, and certainly the Prince of Wales is the holder, the sole exclusive holder of copyright over material that he
Or Diana. Rafal, what are your thoughts at the end of this service?
Well, I mean, what we saw here was tribute paid to Diana the mother and to Diana the humanitarian. It was a fitting tribute and a way to give thanks. But I also heard the plea to let this ceremony, this tribute, mark the point from which we look forward. Not forgetting, but not obsessing.
There's a bit of a controversy, a bit of a tizzy over tea towels, because as I understand it, Rafal, the palace has said those are not considered in good taste. Where does that stand?
It's only the British who could put tea towels onto the front page of their newspapers. This is going to be a much more fun and dynamic and energetic tour. It'll probably be the most successful and biggest royal tour since definitely that of 1983 of the then Prince and Princess of Wales when they came to Canada and went to the Stampede, or even before that to 1951 with Princess Elizabeth, or 39 when George VI and the then Queen came to unveil the National War Memorial in Ottawa. So we're talking about one of the most important royal tours that we've had. The Queen isn't as rich as everyone likes to make out, and for the last few years the Queen has been covering up for a shortfall in her expenses. She hasn't had a pay rise, if we can use that term. The civil list, which is the government's payout to the Queen, hasn't risen since 1990. So despite having made draconian cutbacks in Buckingham Palace and the royal household, the Queen is trying to live in 2010 on a budget that was designed for...
Particularly if you're a monarchist like the guy sitting beside us.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, even though I couldn't be there, the next best thing was to be here with two such enthusiastic monarchists as yourselves. So, wonderful.
Constitutional quandary, because it will require the consent of Canada, of Australia, New Zealand, Jamaica. There are 16 realms, all of whom share the same sovereign. So to change the Act of Settlement for the throne would require all of their consent. Otherwise, you might have the nightmare scenario where somebody succeeds to the throne in Britain, but not in Canada. So you could have one different king for Britain and Canada.
We're also joined this morning in our Toronto studios by Rafal Heydel-Mankoo. He is with the Monarchist League of Canada, and he is a gentleman, good morning, Rafal, who is able to tell us in detail some of the processions, some of the traditions, some of what we're seeing here this morning. Rafal, good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes, to the right, Sir Winston Churchill, the last person to receive such a magnificent funeral and procession. Not since *65 have Britons, or indeed anyone in the Commonwealth, seen something of this magnitude. And now the coffin approaches the catafalque, the ceremonial funeral platform, draped in purple velvet, garnet felt, and decorated with gold braid. And once the coffin is placed on that catafalque, the lying in state of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, will commence. Now we see the clergy processing down the great sweep of the nave. The moderator of the Church of Scotland, His Eminence Cardinal Cormac Murphy O'Connor, and there the great Cross of Canterbury, and Dr. George Carey, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the 103rd Archbishop, and the first not to have attended Oxford and Cambridge, just showing the changes that have taken place over the course of the century through which the Queen Mother lived. And here now we see at the top of the screen Garter King of Arms and Lord Lyon King of Arms, the senior heralds of the land, the great officers of arms. We heard Garter reading out the stars and titles of the Queen in his resplendent tabard of red and gold, muted by a black sash. And now the bearer party lift the coffin of the Queen Mother, who for the last time will leave this abbey in which she was married, in which she saw her husband crowned and her daughter crowned, now to make her final journey through London, a city she knew so well and that loved her dearly.
Thank you for spending this moment with us and this morning with us. Your contributions have been invaluable and give us a real sense of the history and the pride that is attached to the royal family.
This is the Order of Merit here.
Those who study the monarchy and its complex system of honors say Chrétien's is one of the highest.
The past roll reads like a who's who of our greatest 20th and 19th century figures. We have Florence Nightingale as a member, Albert Schweitzer, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill. Of course, the great interviewer, probably one of the best interviewers in the world.
And Cliff Richard,
aside from yourselves.
And thank you very much.
Well, you're coming back. We'll see you tomorrow.
Canadians are taken aback, sir, when the Queen arrived in Halifax and said it felt good to be home. Speak to us about what she meant by that.
Because the Queen is a Canadian. The Queen personifies the Canadian state. She is the head of state. The GG is her representative. When she was in America in the 1950s with President Eisenhower, she said, "I'm going home to Canada tomorrow," at a reception that she held at the Canadian Embassy in Washington as Queen of Canada. She is very much Canadian. Her mother, too, loved Canada more than any other of the realms, and she wore her maple leaf brooch throughout the war. The royal family have a deep and abiding affection for this country. They visited Canada more than any other country in the Commonwealth. And I think you'll see through this royal tour that deep and abiding respect which Canadians have for their sovereign, and which the sovereign has for Canada, and which has been demonstrated time and time again through the speeches that she has made. There's a constant thread of clear affection for the Canadian people.